Have you ever felt that as the years go by, your body slowly starts to shut down, as if every movement takes more effort than usual, as if energy fades away for no reason? It's that subtle but persistent feeling, as if something inside you no longer responds with the same agility, as if your muscles take longer to react, as if getting out of bed or going upstairs has become a small daily challenge. Maybe you've noticed it in the tiredness at the end of the day, in the stiffness when you wake up, or in that inner voice that says, "I'm not like I used to be." And yes, maybe you think all this is a natural part of aging. That it's normal to feel this way after a certain age. Because that's what we've been made to believe. That reaching maturity means accepting inevitable deterioration, that the body stops obeying, that pain and slowness become part of the routine. But what if I told you that much of what you're feeling has nothing to do with age? What if I told you that there's a big difference between getting older and deteriorating? Because yes, aging is inevitable. It's part of the cycle of life. Every year that passes transforms us, molds us, teaches us. But deteriorating, weakening, feeling trapped in a body that no longer responds, that doesn't have to be your destiny. What we often confuse with old age is nothing more than the accumulated result of habits we've normalized. We live in a culture that has turned passivity into routine, that has made us believe that aging is synonymous with limitation, with rigidity, with dependence. And the worst part is that many accept it in silence. We've been taught to resign, to give up, to watch our bodies shut down without fighting. But it doesn't have to be that way. Today, I want us to do something different. Today, I want you to rebel against that idea. I want you to look at your body with different eyes. Not like a machine that's breaking down, but as a temple that's been waiting for you for years. Waiting for your attention, your care, your willingness to reconnect. Your body hasn't given up, it's only been waiting for you to remember it. To look at it with respect. To treat it with patience. To give it a second chance. Because even if you don't believe it, you're still on time to recover your vitality. You don't need complicated solutions, or expensive interventions, or empty promises. What you need is closer than you imagine. It's in a gesture your ancestors knew. In a movement children naturally perform. In a wisdom your body still holds, even if you've forgotten it. It's not magic. It's biology. It's coherence. It's returning to the essential. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to discover how you can recover mobility, strength, and the connection with your body through a practice that has transformed entire lives. A practice as old as humanity itself, but as powerful as the will of the one who embraces it. Today we're going to talk about something deep. Not just an exercise. Not just a technique. We're going to talk about how to recover mobility, strength, and the connection with your body through a practice that has transformed entire lives. A practice as old as humanity itself, but as powerful as the will of the one who embraces it. Because when we talk about health, it's not just about living more years, it's about living them with quality. With dignity. With joy in every movement, and without fear of what the body may, or may not, do tomorrow. But before we dive into that practice, I need you to pause for a moment. To observe yourself sincerely. Answer yourself honestly, without judgment. How much time do you spend sitting each day? Not just in a chair. Also on the couch, in the car, in front of the TV, at the computer, even at the table while eating. Have you noticed? How many hours do you stay in the same position, without moving your spine, without stretching your legs, without giving your hips a break? This is not about guilt. It's about awareness. Because what is not seen, is not change. And maybe you never clearly noticed it before, but that prolonged time in an immobile state, that being seated for hours without interruptions, is slowly shutting your body down. Not dramatically, not overnight. But silently, progressively, almost invisibly. Sedentarism is doing more to accelerate aging than time itself. It's weakening your muscles without you noticing. It's stiffening your joints without warning. It's reducing your energy, your digestion, your mood. And the most serious part, it's disconnecting you from something so basic, so essential, so human, as moving without pain. And no, we're not talking about intense exercise. Nor going to the gym. Nor lifting weights. Nor signing up for a fitness challenge. We're talking about something much more fundamental. More intimate. More accessible. We're talking about reconnecting with your body's original language. About listening again to what it's shouting in the middle of silence. Because the human body was designed to move, to bend, to stretch, to squat, to twist, to walk, to support its own weight with balance and without pain. But when we stop using it the way it was designed, we begin to deteriorate. Because the human body was not made to be immobile, or rigid, or locked between walls and fixed schedules. It was designed to move, to bend, to stretch, to squat, to maintain balance effortlessly. And every time you give up that natural design, every time you stay in the same position for hours, without breathing deeply, without stretching, without letting yourself flow, you're sending your body a silent message that you no longer need it. And so, it responds. It adapts. It shrinks. It hardens. It loses strength. It loses flexibility. It loses life. The most worrying thing is that this disconnection doesn't happen suddenly. It doesn't show up like a sudden alarm. It's slow, stealthy, almost imperceptible. That's why many people don't even realize it. They accept back pain as something normal. The stiffness when standing up is part of aging. The constant fatigue as a consequence of age. But it doesn't have to be that way. Because that's not aging, it's lack of movement. It's the result of years of not listening to your body. Years of ignoring its signals, of no longer doing what you used to do without thinking. But today, you can wake up. And here comes the good news. Because it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're 50, 60, 70 or more. It doesn't matter if you've gone decades without exercising. You can always start again. You can always move again. Your body is incredibly wise, and it has a memory deeper than you think. It just needs a spark, a sign from you. And one of the most effective, accessible, and transformative ways to achieve it is so simple, that many dismiss it. But those who rediscover it, transform their life. I'm talking about something so basic, so forgotten, so powerful, the resting squat. The curious thing is that in many parts of the world, this posture was never abandoned. In rural communities, in ancient cultures, in countries in Asia, Africa and Latin America, it's still common to see older people cooking, chatting or working in a squat. They don't do it because it's trendy or because they read a scientific study. They do it because their body never forgot. Because they never stopped moving as the human body was designed to move. Because they understood that wisdom is not always in what's new, but in what has always been there. And the deep squat is not just a posture. It's a message. It's your body reminding you how it feels to be aligned. How it feels to release tension from your back, your hips, your ankles. How it feels to breathe without abdominal compression, to digest without blockage, to rest without stiffness. It's returning to inhabit your body from the root. It's reconnecting with the earth, with your base, with your center. It's a form of moving meditation. A silent and powerful way to tell your body, I'm with you, I haven't forgotten you. When you recover this ability, you don't just recover a posture. You recover much more. You recover control of your body. You recover trust in your movements, in your balance, in your inner strength. You recover that energy you thought was lost, not because it appears out of nowhere, but because you stop wasting it on compensation. Because you no longer need to tense your shoulders to stay upright. Because you no longer strain your lower back to support yourself. Because your body, finally, is working with you. And you don't need hours of training or fancy machines. You just need attention, intention, and practice. Start little by little. There's no rush. There are no external expectations. It's just you and your body reconnecting after years of distance. Maybe at first you can only go down a few centimeters. Maybe you feel your balance doesn't help, your heels lift, your muscles shake. Maybe you need to support yourself on a chair, a wall, or even on someone who gives you confidence. And all of that is fine. Because this is not a test. It's not an exam. It's a practice of reconnection. You need to know, your body is not broken. Even if it feels stiff, even if there's pain, even if you feel far from achieving it, your body hasn't given up on you. It just needs you to listen. It just needs you to guide it again on a path it once knew very well. With patience. With respect. With love. Each attempt is a step closer. Each breath in that posture, no matter how small, is a reminder that you are still alive, and that you can still change. Over time, you'll feel the effects. Not just in your muscles, but in places you never imagined. You'll feel your hips open, that area that seemed stiff begin to release. Your back will align without being forced. Your ankles will gain stability. Even your digestion will improve. Because this posture, although it seems simple, doesn't only work muscles and bones. It works internal organs, unlocks areas of chronic tension, awakens dormant nerve circuits. It caresses stored emotions. And it activates a body memory that's far more alive than you thought. In countries like India, China, or in rural communities in Africa, it's common to see older people cooking, washing, talking, or simply resting in this position. They don't do it because they've read books on mobility, or because someone taught them. They do it because they never stopped doing it. Because their bodies never forgot. Because their environment, their lifestyle, their relationship with the ground, with movement, with nature, allowed them to preserve that body wisdom that we've lost in other parts of the world. But in modern societies, where comfort has replaced functionality, we've lost that knowledge. We replaced the floor with sofas, movement with screens, intuition with instructions. And the body feels it. But it's never too late to return. It's never too late to remind your body what it feels like to be alive in movement. It doesn't matter how many years have passed. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried and stopped. It doesn't matter if today you feel clumsy, stiff, or unsure. What matters is your decision to begin. Because every day you choose to move consciously, even if just for a few seconds, you are coming back home. You are rewriting your body's story. You are telling yourself, my age does not define my possibilities. Start with small gestures. Incorporate this practice gently and lovingly. Upon waking up, when your body is still sleepy, give yourself a few seconds in a squat. Not to demand anything, but to greet it. To activate it. To thank it. At midday, when mental fatigue starts to creep in, use this posture as a conscious break, a pause that brings you back to yourself. And at the end of the day, when everything seems to have drained you, do it again. As a closing ritual. As a way to release accumulated tension and surrender to rest with a balanced body. You may wonder, can this really change something in my life? Can such a simple gesture make a real difference? And the answer is a resounding yes. Because movement is not just physical. It's emotional. It's mental. It's spiritual. Movement is the most basic expression of life. And when you begin to move freely again, something inside you also begins to move. An emotion is unlocked. A motivation is reawakened. A hope is renewed. Because when you regain control over your body, you don't just improve your posture or your strength. You recover your autonomy. That feeling that you can take care of yourself, that you don't entirely depend on others for something as basic as standing up, squatting down, or walking without fear. And when you get stronger, not only do your muscles grow, your confidence grows. Your self-esteem. Your presence. And when you make this a habit, not a trend, not a challenge, but a true lifestyle, then your old age stops being a burden and starts becoming an opportunity. The opportunity to live with more freedom, to age with grace, to show others that health has no age. So do yourself a favor. A favor that costs no money, that needs no permission, that doesn't depend on anyone else. Do yourself the favor of listening to your body. Not from demand, but from love. From compassion. Move. Squat down. Breathe deeply while doing it. And stay there, even if just for a few seconds. Feel the difference. Feel life flowing again through your joints, your muscles, your abdomen, your chest. Feel how your body responds, not with perfection, but with gratitude. Because it never abandoned you. It was just waiting for you to return. And now I want to ask you something honestly. Tenderly. How long has it been since you squatted down? How long since you allowed yourself that gesture, so simple and so forgotten? Do you think you could do it today, even just for a few seconds, with help if necessary? It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter if you shake. What matters is that you try. And if you do, tell me about it. Leave it in the comments. I want to read you. I want to know how your body felt. I want to know if you're ready to take this small but powerful step toward a life with more mobility, more energy, and more well-being. Because sometimes, a movement changes more than a thought. And if this message touched something in you, if it made you reflect, remember, or simply gave you a little push to come back to yourself, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Maybe someone you know needs it. Maybe a mother, a grandfather, a friend, a coworker. We all deserve to reconnect with our bodies. We all deserve to age with dignity, with strength, with joy. And if you like this content, if you feel this is the kind of information that can change lives, subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. There is so much more to discover, to heal, to move. See you in the next video. See you soon. And remember, your age is not a sentence. It's an opportunity.